You are live. Welcome to the Shoy Show. Ow, 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 ow. It's August 24th, 2026. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, 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 ow. So annoying, right? Copyright infringement. Like when I play some shit on YouTube, they block it. What kind of shit is that? I'm using it. I'm promoting it. What do I have to go contact the Beatles? I have to go call the Beatles. I have to go call whoever made this shit beat. So what if I'm jamming to it? I got a call now? Okay. Can I use your beat, please? In my music, a sample. What's going on? We're all going to die. It's copyright infringement or licensing. Fuck, I should be able to use your shit. Okay? Nobody owns music out there. If music's just playing out there in the street, who owns it? I rest my case. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, AI viewers boost. Peak PY. You gotta love all the spammers, right? All of it is like pornography, all this illicit shit. Let's go. Fight, 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 fight. You know, I like to think like I'm like a pelican, you know, like what is it? Like Finding Nemo? Or fight, 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 fight. Is it Finding Nemo? I can't with the seagulls. It's one of these movies. Fight, fight, fight. That's every time there's a fight. I'm like, fight, fight, fight. Let's go. ABC is finally fighting back, is finally hitting back against Trump's FCC. That's right. You got to stand up. Okay? Now, it's easy for me to say that because I'm just sitting in my little dining room over here. But you got millions of dollars. You have billions of dollars. You can fight back. Why is it that everybody in this democracy is just taking it up the ass? Where's your spine? Finally, someone is taking a stand and is defending our freedom of speech. ABC and Disney are taking the FCC to court. The newest development actually came in today. Two media advocacy organizations, Frequency Forward and the Media Action Center, along with several viewers of ABC stations, filed a motion asking to join Disney's lawsuit as plaintiffs. Let's go! We got a cohort against them. Their argument is that this case does not only involve Disney's corporate rights, viewers also have a First Amendment interest in receiving news and commentary without the government pressuring a broadcaster to change what it airs. We should be able to do and say what we want. That's what I thought freedom of speech was, bro. Fight, 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 fight.
Breaking news just this morning, Disney is filing a lawsuit against the FCC today over the administration's actions taken against ABC. The lawsuit alleges that the FCC is violating their First Amendment rights and that the White House has, here's a quote, waged a retaliatory campaign against ABC for a single reason. It disapproves of what ABC broadcasts. The FCC is currently investigating ABC's talk show The View and challenging the licenses held by ABC stations. The chairman of the FCC, Brendan Carr, he has been outspoken in going after Disney and many others, and also following the lead of the president himself here. CNN's chief media analyst, Brian Stelter, has much more on this. What are you hearing about this lawsuit and what does it mean?
Yeah, not now, okay? We'll come back to you. That's Brendan Carr, this little animal, this little Trump sycophant, right? Whatever Trump wants. And that's how you push through an agenda. So I can understand them wanting to silence their critics. CNN, fake news. ABC, fake news. You want everyone to shut up and get out of the way so that you can proceed with your agenda. We understand what you want, Trump and your administration, but we have a constitution to uphold. And we should be able to discuss these topics, these laws, this type of legislation, these policies, both foreign and domestic, because you are not a dictator. It doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way, and it shouldn't work that way. That's why you are the leader of the free world, but you are acting like an authoritarian. Now, the plaintiffs want the FCC to approve ABC's licenses immediately and without conditions. They also want transparency to prevent Disney and the FCC from negotiating a private agreement that restricts ABC's editorial independence. Do we have freedom of speech or not? The judge has not decided whether these groups and viewers will be allowed to join the case. That follows the court's first major decision last week. Disney requested an emergency hearing to immediately stop the FCC's early review of 8 ABC-owned television licenses. Why? Why? Because you don't want ABC to reach a much broader audience? I thought we could say and do whatever we want here. I thought this was the Wild Wild West. Pew-pew. One federal judge rejected Disney's request to rush the case into court, but she did not rule that the FCC acted legally, and she did not reject Disney's First Amendment arguments, which is good news so far. The judge established a slower schedule. Both parties must complete their legal filings by September 24th, followed by a hearing in early October. The FCC also agreed to notify Disney at least 48 hours before formally referring the licenses to an administrative hearing. If that happens, the judge ordered both sides to appear in court the following day so she can decide whether an immediate restraining order is necessary. That's what we're talking about here? Restraining orders for media companies? What's going on? Grow a pair.
I've just reread the lawsuit that was filed this morning in D.C. District Court. It opens with some strong words. It says, quote, government censorship is deeply un-American. And that's what Disney is alleging here, that the Trump administration is using the tools at its disposal to pressure ABC to change its content, whether that's late at night on Jimmy Kimmel's anti-Trump late night show, or whether it's during the day on the hit daytime talk show The View, or whether it's on other ABC programs. The network says it is feeling pressure from the administration and that amounts to a violation of the First Amendment. Not just because of President Trump's words, where he often maligns ABC and degrades the coverage and calls for its licenses to be revoked, but especially and more importantly through the government's actions. Earlier this year, the FCC opened a probe of The View over an alleged equal time violation. And then a couple months later, the FCC called up ABC's station licenses for a highly unusual, almost unprecedented renewal process, several years ahead of schedule.
I'm trying to understand if you have one side disparaging the other and the other retaliating with the same type of commentary, right? So if you're saying that ABC's coverage is slanted, that there's just so much bias on this side against the Trump administration, and I don't really see it that way. Yeah, clearly they're more left-wing, they're more liberal, but they should be able to report the news as they see fit through that lens. Their viewers know what they are watching. Does it have a huge impact? Of course it does, but they still have the right to say what they want, don't they? Don't they? Do we? What does our Constitution say? Or does everything that's written down mean nothing? You see, we're teaching our children today in 2026, and we have since the United States was born. It's coincidentally America's 250th birthday this year. But we've taught them that our Constitution matters, that the amendments that were written by our forefathers and everything that's been amended up until this point matters. We have to follow these laws or there are grave consequences. And then you have the Trump administration, and at every turn, his entire administration is disparaging anyone who he doesn't agree with or who doesn't agree with him. So if he's doing the same exact thing on his side, doesn't everything cancel out? I don't understand why you would then say that a news station like ABC or Disney could possibly be wrong for critiquing how you're running the country.
That process is widely seen as a form of retaliation against ABC for not firing Kimmel and not changing the programming in other ways. And Disney's message in this lawsuit this morning is very clear. It says that the Trump administration is bullying ABC, but that the Trump administration will come for all the other media companies as well. Quote, if the administration gets its way, the message to every media company in the country will be unmistakable. Tell only the stories the administration deems favorable or face the coercive machinery of the federal government. So Disney is saying it's suing the administration reluctantly, not trying to get into a fight with the president, but because it needs to defend its stations against the First Amendment threat.
And breaking news.
What do you think would happen if all of our news agencies started pandering to the Trump administration? I don't think they would be getting any resistance from our government, right? You would just have the Trump administration saying, yeah, great, these are all good news stations because they're telling the truth or they're saying what we want them to say, and they're painting us in a positive light. But wouldn't they at the same time, if they were just trying to put President Trump in the best possible position, wouldn't they at the same time be doing a disservice to the American public? Which is greater? I want to hear both sides of the argument. Not because it's fun to hear, but people believe both sides of the argument. There are people that believe that Trump is doing a horrendous job when it comes to freedom of speech. And there are people that completely believe him and his administration when they say that everyone else is spilling out fake news. I just don't understand how you can undermine and attack someone's right to say whatever they want about any individual in the United States. Again, it's like, what are we teaching our children? We're teaching our children that these amendments matter, but then they don't. Now, the underlying case involves 8 local ABC stations owned by Disney, including WABC in New York and KABC in Los Angeles. Their licenses were not scheduled to expire until between 2028 and 2031. But on April 28th, the FCC ordered every station to apply years ahead of schedule. Disney says the FCC had not forced a broadcaster into an early licensing review like this in approximately 50 years. The FCC says it is investigating whether Disney's diversity and hiring policies constitute unlawful discrimination. ABC says that it is an excuse used to retaliate against the network for programming Donald Trump and FCC Chairman Brendan Carr dislike. What do you believe? Do you think this is retaliatory? Or do you think companies like ABC actually have a gripe? The FCC has already made approximately 600 information requests, collected more than 13,000 pages of documents, and demanded information about political donations made by ABC employees. And ABC says the pressure is already changing its programming. Of course it is. You saw what happened to 60 Minutes, right? Literally everyone left. They had complete turnover because of the Trump administration. Now, after Democratic Senate candidate James Tallarico appeared on The View in February, the FCC began investigating a possible violation of the equal time rule, even though the FCC had previously treated The View as a bona fide news program exempt from that requirement. The FCC demanded communications involving the show's producers, hosts, and booking staff, along with information about political contributions made by individual employees. The View has not invited another political candidate since February. Are you kidding me? I mean, I don't even care about The View. This isn't about one program on ABC. But it has everything to do with the pressure campaign from the Trump administration. And they know what they're doing here. They're making sure that they thwart every opinion that goes against their agenda, bar none. ABC says it has become more cautious about booking candidates or even showing video clips that might count as candidate appearances. And that's the chilling effect ABC is describing, is it not? Now they have to walk around on eggshells because they don't even know what the First Amendment means anymore. The government never formally orders you to stop speaking. It makes the potential consequences so expensive and unpredictable that you censor yourself. Yeah, if I knew that I was going to be reprimanded for something I said, I would just shut the fuck up. And this didn't begin with The View. In 2025, in July 2025, CBS announced that it was ending The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. We all remember that. 3 days earlier, Colbert had called Paramount's $16 million settlement with Trump a big fat bribe. Paramount was awaiting FCC approval for its multi-billion-dollar merger with Skydance. CBS said the cancellation was entirely financial, but there is no evidence that Trump or Carr. But of course, anyone with a brain knows that most likely Trump and Carr directly ordered CBS to cancel Colbert. Now, Colbert actually had the highest rated show in late night television. The cancellation occurred during the merger review, and Trump publicly celebrated it. He said that he absolutely loved that Colbert got fired and predicted that Jimmy Kimmel would be next. Then came Jimmy Kimmel. In September 2025, Kimmel made comments about how Trump supporters were responding to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Brendan Carr went on a conservative podcast and said, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way." These are not so veiled threats, are they? Carr said broadcasters could take legal action against Kimmel, or there would be additional work for the FCC ahead. It's either this or that. You could get with this or you could get with that. So essentially they said, hey, ABC, go do something about Jimmy Kimmel, or we'll do this the hard way. And we could just get the lawyers involved. I mean, what are we even American? You got to ask yourself, right? If we're not abiding by the Constitution, are we American? It's not necessarily the First Amendment. It seems like this administration is stepping on every single one of our amendments, on all of our freedoms. So then what do we have? What do you want? You just want us to sit in the house all day? Or do you actually want discourse? Do you want us to be championing the policies, arguing for and against them to make for a better republic? I mean, what do we want here? I just don't understand. And again, I come back to the point. Like, why are we even teaching our kids the Constitution if we're neglecting it day in and day out? Of course, hours later, major station groups dropped Kimmel's program and ABC suspended him indefinitely. Kimmel returned 6 days later following enormous public backlash. Even Republican Senator Ted Cruz compared Carr's warning to something out of Goodfellas. Nice television station you have there. It would be a shame if something happened to its license. So again, these are not so veiled threats. And Trump did not stop with Kimmel. He publicly called for NBC to cancel Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers. He also suggested that broadcasters giving him overwhelmingly negative coverage should potentially lose their licenses. And whatever he says, all of his appointees are going to do. Because they not only need to protect Trump, but they have to protect the administration, or else they're essentially not going to get anything done. Right now, it's a very delicate balance of instilling your policy and pushing it forward and ensuring that you still have the court of public opinion in your corner. Then after ABC and NBC declined to broadcast his July 16 election speech on traditional television, Trump again demanded that their stations lose their licenses. So let's call this what it is. This is government-backed cancel culture. And if you don't like cancel culture, I don't know why you would agree with this. Republicans spent years complaining that the left was silencing conservatives. Someone writes an offensive social media post, says something controversial at work, or expresses an unpopular opinion, and Republicans call it cancel culture. Fine. I agreed with them plenty of times. But you do not get to spend years condemning cancel culture and then use the federal government to pressure television networks into removing comedians you dislike. Because it is comedy, right? Why is the president celebrating the fact that Stephen Colbert lost his show? That the FCC is threatening Jimmy Kimmel's broadcasters? And demanding that NBC cancel Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon? You're trying to remove any opposition. And the first thing that pops up in my head is Russia. Because this is precisely what they do with anyone that combats them publicly. You investigate who appears on The View and then pretend that you are defending free speech. And this is why we have to report on this, because you have to raise awareness. It is such a contradiction. And more so, it's just undermining what we're supposed to believe in, what we're supposed to abide by. I mean, we do have laws. I just don't understand why the Trump administration believes that they just have immunity to essentially everything that our Constitution says. Yet when they want to wield their power and ensure that everybody falls in line, they reference it. So this is not opposition to cancel culture. The Republicans are taking full advantage, and they know what they are doing. They're masterful at this. This is cancel culture with federal power behind it, including the tax dollars. And that's far more dangerous than people getting angry on social media. That's okay to get upset on social media. You see a video that's a little bit intense and, it hits your heart or it gets your mind racing. That's okay. We should be able to talk about these policies, about these events. But we shouldn't be silencing everyone. A boycott is speech. Changing the channel is your choice. Criticizing a comedian is your right. But when the chairman of the FCC, the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, comes out and says, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way, he's not speaking as some random angry viewer. He controls the federal agency overseeing the licenses that these companies need to operate. We should be scared about this. We should be like, oh, I'm scared, something like that. And that's the difference, because you have real power behind this. Should they want to pull licenses? They can. What's the public going to do about it? Protest? Until what? Until they reinstate it? If they do, they ultimately have all the power that they need. And honestly, I'm just sick and tired of it. Brendan Carr has been acting like a bully. Donald Trump has been acting like a bully. Trump and the people around him insult journalists, judges, politicians, comedians, private citizens constantly. But when someone criticizes them, suddenly the federal government needs to get involved. Grow a spine. If Jimmy Kimmel makes a joke you dislike, criticize him. If Stephen Colbert calls you corrupt, prove him wrong. You're an adult, right? If you hate The View, turn the TV off. But don't use licenses, investigations, and merger approvals to make people afraid to criticize the president. Disney deserves credit for finally fighting back. Let's not pretend Disney suddenly became a charity dedicated to constitutional freedom. This was calculated, and it's kind of life and death for them. Disney concluded that continuing to surrender threatened its entire business. But fine, fight back for whatever reason you have to. Because if Republicans can use the FCC against ABC today, Democrats can use it against Fox tomorrow. Remember that, y'all. The pendulum only swings one way just to come back and swing the other. It's not like if you think that Republicans are going to stay in power for the next 50 years, I mean, I've got a bridge to sell you. Because when the Democrats take over, I'm right down the middle. But when the Democrats take over, it's going to be satisfying to see them take full advantage and manipulate and exploit just as the Republicans have. All this shit that Mitch McConnell did, all the shit that Trump is doing, all the shit that the judges are doing, both at the federal and the Supreme Court level, you're just going to see it swing back this way, and it's going to be way more blue, extreme blue. Now, freedom of speech does not only protect speech that agrees with you. We should be having this dialogue. It protects the comedian that's mocking you, the journalist challenging you, and the person saying something you find completely offensive. That's why this is one of the reasons why this is the greatest country on earth, because we can say whatever we want. If you can't tolerate that criticism without reaching for the federal government, you are not fighting cancel culture. And in my opinion, you should not be the head of the FCC, because you've become the cancel culture. ABC is finally fighting back as it should. And now viewers are trying to join that fight. Protect freedom of speech at all costs. This is a dramatically different country if we do not have our First Amendment right. All right, next topic. Ow, 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 ow. We're gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about it. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, 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 ow. All right, here we go. A Portland mother is suing her children's elementary school after objecting to gender identity instruction and an intersex inclusive progress pride flag displayed on school benches. Wow. Now, let's break this all down. First, how old are these children? Meriwether Lewis Elementary serves kindergarten through 5th grade. That generally means children between 5 and 11 years old, although some 5th graders may turn 12 before leaving. And yes, gender identity is part of Oregon's statewide educational standards. Oregon requires public schools to provide comprehensive sexuality education in every grade from kindergarten through 12th grade. Wow. I mean, what are you teaching a kid 5 years old about sex? 5? What are you teaching? I can't even begin to imagine. The state requires at least 4 age-appropriate child abuse prevention lessons annually. Its broader health standards introduce gender identity and gender expression beginning in kindergarten. Sexual orientation begins in the 3rd grade. Portland Public Schools says schools must notify parents at least 2 weeks before beginning the formal comprehensive sexuality education unit. Wow. Parents are also supposed to receive grade-specific opt-out forms. That is the official policy. But this lawsuit raises a separate question. Was the assignment at Lewis Elementary part of that formally announced curriculum, or was it supplemental material introduced separately? Robert's 11-year-old son received an identity flower assignment created by the LGBTQ education organization's GLSEN. Students were asked to identify and publicly discuss different aspects of themselves, including gender. The lesson instructed teachers to explain that students might identify as a girl, a boy, or simply a person. It also said that a word describing them today might not feel appropriate later. Roberts alleges she received no advance notice of that assignment and no opportunity to excuse her child from it. Portland Public Schools has not publicly explained whether the identity flower assignment was part of its formal sexuality education unit, supplemental classroom material, or a school-level decision. Let's get into it. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, identity flower? You're 5 years old. Hey, how do you feel? You feel like a girl? Even though you have a penis? You might feel like a girl, and that's okay. And you might feel like a boy, and that's okay. Let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I remember I used to think, hey, what would it feel like if I was a girl? Because I know that, like, I was hanging out with girls and guys, right? So, like, I used to think as a kid, we got every single crazy thought, crazy, not crazy, every thought that you could possibly imagine, it's going to happen up here. That's why we control ourselves, right? That's why we control things up here. It's not wrong to have a thought like that. And I asked myself, I was like, oh yeah, what would it be like to be a girl? That's cool. And then I think I might have said when I was really young, I might have said like, I wish I was a girl, whatever. And one time I took my mom's clip-on earrings and I put them on my ears, and because all my friends had piercings, and they looked cool, right? Cool. And I took my mom's clip-on earrings, and I was like, oh, shit, I look like a girl. And I took them off, and I was like, shit. I was like, man, I'm never getting my ears pierced. Now, in hindsight, I probably looked more of like a girl because I had women's clip-on earrings. But whatever, okay? It's not wrong to ask that question, but why am I asking that question to a 5-year-old or an 11-year-old? You're 11 years old. Hey, do you feel like a girl today? Like, what the fuck is that even doing? I don't know. Maybe it's doing something. I'm not an educationalist. I only got my education.
A Portland, Oregon mother is suing Portland Public Schools, claiming she was banned from all school events, including her child's 5th grade graduation, for speaking out against the school's gender curriculum. This allegedly included the school's decision to repaint their pride flag into something called an intersex inclusive progress version, whatever that means, and an identity flower assignment, which asked her 11-year-old to identify and discuss their gender identity. That Portland mother, Allison Roberts, and Timothy Snowball from the Liberty Justice Center both join me now. Allison, I'll start with you. Walk us through how this all escalated.
Thank you for having me. I'm a longtime Portlander. My kids have been going to Lewis Elementary for some time. When we started the school year this year, what was the pride flags or the rainbow flags that were on the benches last year had become the progressive flag this year. It was jarring to me, given the political climate we're in, and I saw it for what it was, a political symbol. When I pursued conversations with the school, as well as PTA, I was rebuffed or censored at every turn. So I did what I thought was my only avenue. I took things into my own hands, and I passed out a letter hoping to find sympathetic ears and like-minded people that maybe were being censored as well. So that's kind of what started this. And then things escalated to the point that I got Liberty Justice involved.
Timothy, let's bring you.
I mean, I just don't understand why in an elementary school. Just why? Because the flag appears to present another distinction. Now, there was no district policy that I could find in Portland that required every public school to display an intersex inclusive progress pride flag. I mean, like, what the fuck is that? Like, no offense, but like, intersex inclusive progress pride flag. I can't even say that. I can't even say it. That's how fucking ridiculous it is. I don't even know what an intersex inclusive progress pride flag. Hey, did you put up your intersex inclusive progress pride flag? What are we talking about? What are we talking? Now, you might tell me, you might be like, yo, shut the fuck up. Let them put up the flag. What's the problem? Okay, it's fine. Here's the problem. The problem is that there are a lot of parents out there that are going to be like, cuckoo, la la, crazy man, you crazy, you putting up the crazy, the intersex, interplay, inclusive, interstellar pride flag. And then people get mad because they don't want their kids subjected to that shit. So if you're trying to affect some fucking, the 1%, I'm not using the 80-20 rule here, okay? Have they voted on this shit? I mean, that's what they should do, right? They should have a fucking referendum in Oregon or in Portland to say, do we want this flag flying in our schools? Yes or no? And if the overwhelming majority say yes, then fly the flag. And if the majority say no, then take down the flag. I couldn't imagine that the majority say yes, not to that flag. Maybe the pride flag. I mean, what is this? Intersex inclusive progress pride flag. What the fuck is that? It's like, it's the same shit with pronouns again, right? He, him, her, she, her. So, like, I don't want to, listen, I'm not here to ridicule people, okay? But I think I'm just the soundboard of the overwhelming majority. It's just like, shut the fuck up, okay? When I was introduced to gender pronouns, I was like, shut the fuck up, man. It's just something you have to learn because the way our minds were before was so archaic. You remember when we used to beat our women? When you used to beat our wives and it was okay? And when we had slavery and it was okay? It's like, you know, like, you see, we had to grow up, right? And now We should be looking at hormonal imbalances, and we should have gender freedom. I can't with this nonsense. This is how it goes. Because I don't give a fuck about what my opinion is personally. My opinion doesn't mean shit. You ask the parents, and I don't give a fuck if the overwhelming majority of parents are fucking as dumb as rocks. It's their children. If they say that they don't want that flag flown, flag comes down. That's it. I'd like to know what the process was behind all this. And again, she only started complaining not when it had a traditional rainbow design. It was later repainted with the Progress Pride design. That's when shit got, hairy. And she has every right to complain. It's her kid. Now, Roberts says the change was made without input from the broader school community. She met with the principal, her child's teacher, and a counselor before distributing an open letter to other parents from a public sidewalk. The conflict later escalated during school dismissal. Roberts says another parent shouted that white people are disgusting. She says she called the statement racist and walked away. The district accused Roberts of racial harassment, intimidation, and threatening behavior, and alleged that her conduct was part of a larger pattern that made families feel unsafe. Roberts denies those accusations. Police served her with a 1-year trespass order the following morning. That order prevented her from attending school activities, including her son's 5th grade graduation. When Roberts continued criticizing the school, a district official warned that conduct it considered continued harassment could result in an indefinite ban from every Portland public school property. What? I mean, at that point, why aren't you just pulling your kid out of school? I don't need them to be in a program like that. Her federal lawsuit now alleges First Amendment retaliation and viewpoint discrimination. Now we come back to the First Amendment. What do you think the Trump administration is saying about this? This is Fox News right here. They're jumping all over this. First Amendment speech. She can say whatever she wants, right? But then they turn around, they cancel fucking Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, The View. Unbelievable. It also challenges the district's harassment policy and its practices involving gender lessons, parental notification, and social transitions. Portland Public Schools has not answered the allegations publicly. The court has not ruled on the case, and that brings us to the debate Oregon parents are actually having.
You in here. She was on a public sidewalk handing out flyers. School, as far as I know, in Portland is still a taxpayer-funded function. How are any of these punishments, these bans by the Portland schools legal?
Well, thanks again for having us. Yeah, I think that the main point here is there's no Portland exception to the U.S. Constitution, right? I mean, just because you're in Portland doesn't mean the First Amendment no longer applies. And I think that this really comes from a harassment policy that they put in place where school officials get to decide that anything they don't like, anything that they label hate speech, which of course, as we know, is not an actual category under the First Amendment, they can silence somebody. And apparently this policy reaches all the way out onto a public sidewalk, which is the height and the zenith of First Amendment protection in our society, going all the way back.
Literally like day one of law school. It's like public sidewalk, and then you get to like the professor's name. I mean, that's how ingrained it is in the law. Allison, there is a report that you had a heated interaction with another parent. The school accuses you of a pattern of, quote, their words, not mine, harassment, intimidation, and threatening behavior. How do you respond to those claims, Allison?
They're absolutely ludicrous. The school, I had nothing but either silence from them or nothing but polite things to say about me anytime I engaged with them when they would engage. The conversation I did have with the other parent was lamentable, regrettable, but it was mutual, and I was the only one that walked away with any punishment. This to me is obviously the districts and the administrations seizing upon the opportunity to further punish me and silence me. Yeah.
I was going to say, we reached out to Portland.
Bunch of garbage, if you ask me. I mean, Oregon introduces gender identity and expression beginning in kindergarten and sexual orientation beginning in the 3rd grade. Does that make sense to you? 3rd grade? Kindergarten? Gender identity in kindergarten? What the fuck? What the fuck does that even mean? Why are we addressing this? Should public schools be introducing those subjects to children that young? That's the question here. Why are they learning about, why are they even asking questions? We want them to be curious. We want them to have stimulating imaginations. Kids are amazing at doing that, right? Because they're also super innocent. What are we doing filling their minds with this? Like, why are we talking about sex at such a young age? And of course, it's not traditional sex, but we're talking about gender identity. What the fuck? Like, what does that even do? I mean, I guess, listen, I will say this, that identity flower, it doesn't look so bad, right? I mean, what the fuck is an identity flower? It just doesn't look that bad. I gotta be honest, right? The identity flower. Sex. Are you male or female? Language. English. Religion. Christian. Age group. 19. I don't even know what the fuck this even means. What does this even mean? What exercise is this? I mean, come on, y'all. Like, I just don't understand this shit. And you know, some people are gonna be like, oh, well, if you don't understand it, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be taught. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't, you know, it shouldn't be introduced. What the fuck is this? I mean, whatever. It may seem innocuous to you, an identity flower assignment, but again, this has everything to do with the parent. And again, it's not anti-trans. We should protect every child from bullying. But kindergarten means 5 years old. So what purpose does introducing the flag serve? The flag invites questions about gay pride and transgender identity. And my question is, should the school be the one initiating that conversation? It shouldn't be parents. It shouldn't be someone in their community, like an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a caretaker. And if you're going to say that this flag belongs, then why don't we just put the 10 Commandments up on the wall? Oh, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. You want to fly this flag? I am legitimately asking, okay? Sexual inclusion, pride, inclusive, intersex flag. And I don't mean to mock it, you know, I'm sorry, but it's like, okay, you want to fly this flag? Why don't we put the 10 Commandments up? Just asking. Because the shit doesn't make sense to me either way. Because you either allow everything or you keep ideology displays out. Now, I got to digress here because a pride flag is not automatically a lesson about sexual activity. Should they learn about gender identity and sexual orientation? Yes, but at 8 years old? I mean, at some point, I got to think that this is just off the rails. Like, I would think that this is harmful to our youth. Oregon is explicitly introducing gender identity concepts beginning in kindergarten and sexual orientation beginning in the 3rd grade. Does that sound right to you in any way, shape, or form? Because again, I'm not so mad about the identity flower. It doesn't seem so bad. Ability, education, who am I? You know? Okay, this doesn't seem so bad. Gotta admit. But this is written into the state's educational standards. So how far can they take this? The state describes that instruction as age appropriate inclusive, and intended to prevent abuse, discrimination, and bullying. Parents can still reasonably ask whether some concepts should be introduced later and whether school officials are staying within the curriculum parents were shown. Now, some people are going to say, well, this helps raise awareness so transgender kids aren't bullied. I agree, they shouldn't be bullied. And we should have a system and a structure that if someone wants to call themselves a girl when they're a boy, or wants to call themselves a boy when they're a girl, they're young enough to do that. I don't understand why the school is initiating it or promoting it or introducing it. And if a kid is in protest and says, hey, don't call me a girl, I'm a boy. Don't call me a girl, right? Like, let's say it's an actual boy and someone's just ridiculing them. We should be protecting every child. I mean, the arguments that are being made here just don't make any sense to me. Why are we introducing this in elementary school? Maybe high school, maybe. We're talking about 10-year-olds? I took care of 10-year-olds. No way. I would never even come close to a topic like this. I would ask questions like, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are some of the things you like doing? What do you aspire to be? You know how important you are as a son or a daughter to your parents. You ask questions like that, but this is a little bit probing. I mean, to even have this as a rule in the curriculum is insane to me, because again, I kind of see this identity flower as being innocuous. But then again, to write it in school code is almost insane to me. Now, they are supposed to notify the parents, and Allison Parker and this mother is saying that she was never notified. And that's what part of the gripe is about.
Public schools here at Fox for a statement, but have not yet heard back. Look, you can't unring the bell on the graduation. You already missed that, Allison, but we'll be curious to see what this lawsuit ultimately leads to. Allison and Timothy, thank you for your time and your insight in bringing the story.
Yeah! And then everybody that reads or watches something on this topic, they're going to be like, anti-trans. If they don't like what they hear, anti-trans. And if they like it, they're like, yeah, fuck that. Yeah, we shouldn't be teaching that in school. Have a referendum. We need a direct democracy, okay? Have a referendum. I don't know that this is protecting children. You can protect, if there are some parents out there that want their kids to transition at 5, 7 years old, I don't agree with that, but that's up to the parents. We still shouldn't let any child be bullied. But again, to instill this into the curriculum and ingratiate the children with this type of ideology, that's fucking crazy. Why aren't we talking about something like thou shalt not kill? Or respect thy mother and thy father, something like that. Yeah, 10 commandments. How about something like that? I think that would do a lot more for our youth than telling them, hey, what's your identity? You want to be a little flower? You want to be a little flag? Fuck. We got some dumbass shit happening in this country. Just stupid. Dumb. You want to be a little flower? All right, next topic. Moderna. Yeah. Oh shit, Moderna. Did Moderna just create a cancer vaccine? Yeah, Moderna and Merck possibly created a cancer vaccine. It was developed for patients with high-risk melanoma after their tumors had already been surgically removed. Doctors take a sample of a tumor and identify the mutations unique to that patient's cancer. Moderna then manufactures an individualized vaccine designed around as many as 34 of those cancer markers. In simple terms, it shows the immune system exactly what the person's cancer looks like. So if those cells return, the body knows what to attack. Wow. And right after this announcement, Moderna stock exploded nearly 180%, adding approximately $40 billion to the company's value in a single trading day. Merck stock also jumped 13%. Oh shit, Moderna. Oh shit.
Pharmaceutical giants Moderna and Merck said today that their experimental cancer treatment showed signs of success in a study with high-risk melanoma patients. The first of its kind treatment involves an mRNA vaccine that's tailored to individual patients and pairs it with a separate immunotherapy drug, Keytruda. The combination was effective in helping prevent the skin cancer from returning or spreading. The treatment still needs regulatory approval, and the companies have only provided broad outlines of their findings. But Moderna stock surged on the news, jumping nearly 177%. Pharmaceutical giants Moderna and Merck said today that their experimental...
So is that what we're moving toward? Cancer vaccines? So it delivers customized instructions to the patient's immune system. The phase 3 trial included 1,137 patients with stage 2B with stage 2 through stage 4 melanoma. One group received Keytruda, Merck's existing immunotherapy drug. The other received Keytruda combined with Moderna's personalized vaccine. The combination kept patients cancer-free longer and reduced the likelihood of the melanoma spreading to distant organs. It met both of the trial's main objectives and produced no new safety concerns. That makes the drug the first personalized mRNA cancer vaccine to succeed in a phase 3 trial. The complete phase 3 numbers have not been released yet, but the earlier trial involving 157 patients produced some remarkable results. The combination reduced the risk of cancer returning or causing death by 49%. It reduced the risk of the cancer spreading or causing death by 59%. And after 5 years, about 92% of patients receiving the combination were still alive, compared with 71% of patients receiving Keytruda alone. Wow. So did they just cure cancer? No. But they may have created a vaccine that teaches the immune system to recognize one patient's specific cancer and stop it from returning. And if this works for melanoma, the same process could work for other cancers. Moderna and Merck already have 9 phase 2 and phase 3 studies underway involving melanoma, lung, bladder, and kidney cancers. Wow, this is legitimately incredible news. Now, I lost my father to cancer. Many people have lost their parents and loved ones to cancer. If this treatment prevents another family from experiencing that, I sincerely hope it works. But would you call this a cure? They're calling it a vaccine, not a cure. And we have to look at the money surrounding this announcement. The vaccine has not been approved. The complete phase 3 results have not been released. We do not know what one personalized dose will cost. And Wall Street still added approximately $40 billion to Moderna's value in one day. The potential melanoma market alone is estimated at approximately $2.5 billion. Global spending on cancer drugs is projected to approach $440 billion by 2029. And of course, that's why people distrust big pharma. There's an extraordinary amount of money in treating cancer. And there goes your conflict of interest, right? Why would you cure something if you know that you can just treat it and profit from it? That's what millions of people believe, that prolonged treatment is more profitable than actually curing it. I'm not angry that a company could make money by saving lives. If you develop something that keeps people alive, you deserve to be rewarded. And I genuinely hope that this saves thousands of lives, even though I'm somewhat of a vaccine skeptic. I don't really want to take drugs, but if it's life-saving, and by the way, I did get vaccinated for COVID. But wow, we want a cure. That's what I want to see. A vaccine is one thing, but I definitely want to see a cure. I think we all do. And these were some of the numbers. I mean, year to date, Moderna is up 517%. Here's that one trading day, 177%. This was August 19th. And if you were actually watching the stock that day, it did top out at 180%, which is just insane. All right. Thank you for watching. See you next time.